Hey ladies and gentlemen, Wolfcryer here, and welcome to another Friday Night Diablo discussion video. So in this week's video, we're going to be talking about Greater Rifts and the Developer Chronicles that was released on February 7th, titled Rift Fishing. Okay, I pretty much have a big issue with at least one paragraph of that Developer Chronicles. That is the paragraph that we are going to focus this discussion video on. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember that this is a discussion video. I'm giving my 2 cents, and I do want to hear yours as well. So please leave a comment below on what you think of what I'm about to relay to you in this video. So with the Developer Chronicles, I wanted to compare that to the 2.4.3 patch notes, the live ones, the ones that were released the day it went live. Now, on the PTR patch notes and stuff, these always say preliminary or subject to change and that type of things. But this was for the 2.4.3 live version of the patch notes with no such statement whatsoever. And we're also going to compare this to what was announced at Blizzcon at the Diablo 3 developer talk. So that's the first thing that I'm going to bring up. Let's play an excerpt right now from that video.
Or to put it another way, I do grift. And we have some awesome stuff for you. We have a brand new way to spawn monsters in Greater Rifts. No more huge empty areas with no monsters where you're vaulting through. We took a density first approach. We look at the amount of playable space in a tile set, and we look at the amount of XP from monsters that feels good in that space, and then we fill it that way. So every floor can be a great floor. This is an example of 242, right? You can see ice caves here. The same place in 243.
So now, as you heard him say pretty much, they were going to be taking a density first approach to Greater Rifts. It was said, that's what came out of his mouth, and that the density would be improved, allowing each floor to have the capability of being a great floor with the ability to push you further. And it was also discussed at BlizzCon that they wanted to eliminate the need for more and more and more floors and start to reduce that. And that's where the live PTR patch notes for patch 2.4.3 come into play into this discussion. All right, so we're going to take a look at those right now. Now, according to the 2.4.3 patch notes, the live version, the ones that went live and were posted when 2.4.3 Season 9 went live, monsters should now be more evenly distributed on each floor in Greater Rifts. Along with this, the XP and Greater Rift progression awarded for defeating smaller enemies has been increased. The size of each floor in a Greater Rift is now more consistent. And on average, this is the key part, on average, a rift should take between 2 to 4 floors to clear. This pretty much goes right along with what they announced at BlizzCon, that they wanted to reduce the number of floors needed to complete each rift and make it more consistent while adding more density. These were two things that were announced both at BlizzCon and in the 2.4.3 patch notes, the live version, the ones that were pretty much given with patch 2.4.3. Here comes my problem, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take one paragraph from the Developer Chronicles and read it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Along these lines, we reduced the average size of a rift floor in 2.4.3 to increase the number of floors you see in a given rift, placing less emphasis on tile set or population of a given floor. We also made improvements where a specific monster or tile set was out of line, like fixing big empty areas in the heaven tile set or making writhing deceivers emerge more quickly from hiding, because that was the problem with your GRs. Alright, do you see my problem yet, ladies and gentlemen? This is a straight contradiction, and this would be okay, and it would. If you're going to contradict what you said at Blizzcon, that is okay. If you put it in the patch notes, not release a Developer Chronicles titled Rift Fishing 1 month after this patch was released to pretty much tell us that, yeah, what we said we did in the patch notes, no, this is actually what we did 1 month later. Every game I've ever played, when you got the patch notes, unless there was a bug or something like that, something did not go right during the patching process and the coding and all that stuff, the patch notes you got were the ones that went live. It wasn't any deception involved or something like that. When you say at BlizzCon and in your patch notes that you're going to increase density, make greater rifts more densely populated, focus on density first, and make each floor consistent where you would need less floors to complete them. And then a month later, after releasing the patch that you said this was going to happen, you release a statement that you pretty much hide in the middle of your Developer Chronicles, saying that we reduced the average size of a rift floor in 2.4.3 to increase the number of floors you see in a given rift. That's kind of like a department store putting out an ad that says you can get 5 t-shirts for $1. And then you go to that store and the big sign in the window says 5 t-shirts for $1. And then you go in, you get your 5 t-shirts, you get to the register and they said, no, we meant a quarter of a t-shirt for $1. That's what we meant. That doesn't make sense to me. That's kind of shady, in my opinion. I love Diablo, ladies and gentlemen. I love most of Blizzard's games. I do like the company as a whole, but that is straight up shady. Like, in my opinion, I've only got 3 words for it. What the fuck? Like, that's an entire month has gone by that you waited to release this, and you hit it in a Developer Chronicles about rift fishing and how rift fishing is only because either you're not strong enough or you can't adapt. Okay, it's kind of hard to adapt a character class that focuses on AoE in a sewer map that goes on forever with 2 monsters every 20 feet. We've all gotten them. We've all gotten the sewer map, but you cut down the size of the spider map to make it go along with that. So there might be a very densely populated map, but it's going to be a lot smaller because we got to make it match the 20-mile long sewer map that has the same amount of monsters in it, just way more spread out, that you need a pull barb or some type of pull mechanic in order to complete if you are an AoE type of character. Most solo classes in a sewer map that is really long and really annoying with the mobs, you're not going to complete. You're going to leave the rift and waste a key. And that was one thing that BlizzCon and 2.4.3 was supposed to address. And instead, they not only didn't address it, they did the exact opposite of what they said they were going to do. I cannot be the only person with a problem with this. Like I said, love Diablo. I'll play Diablo forever if I can. You know what I mean? I'll play other games too, but I love Diablo, love Blizzard. I'm not trying to badmouth any individual person or the company as a whole. But geez, this bothers me. This bothers me immensely. And I would think that it would bother most of the community if they realized what the hell they just did and what they announced. Because when I was testing PTR for certain builds and stuff like that, it was awesome because all the GRs were chock full of mobs. And then live came, and it was like, what happened to the density? What happened to the spider map? What happened to the maps that were good? So now it's only the two new maps that are any decent when it comes to density, and even those are a lot smaller than the PTR versions of them. But the 2 or 3 brand new maps have a massive amount of density, but then you mainly get sewers or that type of thing where they're long and windy and they've got very little density whatsoever. But we made it better because it's all unbridled or all big monsters that take forever for an AoE guy to kill, but they give you great XP. Yeah, but you're going to take 40 years to beat that mob because your build is designed to take on hundreds of mobs, or at least 50 or 60 mobs at the same time, and just beat them all down with area damage and that type of thing. I mean, you increase the number of floors. When you stated at Blizzcon and in your 2.4.3 patch notes for the live version that you were going to decrease the amount of floors needed. That's crazy. It boggles my mind and it pisses me off. So, there you guys have it. You can weigh in on what your comments are in the comment section below, because I definitely want to hear from each and every one of you on what you think about this, because this is bullshit. No offense. I mean, that's crazy. As my buddy Angry Role Player would say, this is fucking diarrhea bullshit. No offense, Angry. I love you, man. But seriously, guys, let me know in the comments what you think of this. And make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you guys have a great night. Peace.